There's something about truly wise women that makes you stop and listen. They don't have to raise their voices to be heard. They don't have to demand respect. It just happens. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's a choice repeated over and over again. Smart women aren't defined by how many degrees they have or how many likes they get online. They're defined by the way they move through the world. The principles they refuse to compromise on, no matter how tempting it is to take shortcuts. Today, I want to share 5 rules that smart women live by. Rules that don't just help you succeed, they help you become the kind of person others trust. Admire and remember. Rule Fade 1, protect your energy like it's gold. A smart woman knows that her energy is her most valuable currency. Think about it. Time is important, but time without energy is useless. You can be in the same room for 8 hours, but if your mind and spirit are drained, nothing truly meaningful happens. There is something we often overlook in the race to achieve more, prove ourselves, and keep up with everyone's expectations. We forget that the very thing driving all of it, our energy, is not infinite. We treat it like it will always be there, like we can push and push without consequence. But the truth is, our energy is like a currency, and once it's spent, it takes much longer to earn back than it did to give away. Protecting your energy means understanding that every commitment, every conversation, every interaction either fuels you or drains you. And not everything is worth the cost. The world will constantly ask for your attention. People will always want just a little more of your time. Opportunities will come disguised as obligations. If you say yes to everything, you will eventually have nothing left to give, not to your work, not to your loved ones, and not even to yourself. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. Being busy fills your calendar. Being productive moves you toward the life you actually want. Smart people know how to make that distinction. But wise people, those who truly flourish, know how to protect the energy that fuels their productivity in the first place. It starts with clarity. You need to know what matters most to you. Without that clarity, it becomes too easy to say yes to everything because you don't have a strong enough reason to say no. If you value your peace, you will notice when a conversation becomes toxic and when a relationship turns one-sided. If you value your focus, you will notice when endless scrolling or pointless meetings steal hours from your day. If you value your growth, you will notice when your time is being pulled into things that do not challenge or inspire you. Think about the moments when you have been completely drained, mentally, emotionally, physically. Were those moments worth it? Did they move you closer to the person you want to be? Or did they leave you feeling smaller, less confident, and less capable? The reality is, we often give away our energy to things we don't even believe in, simply because we don't want to disappoint others. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your values, you are saying no to something that does. Protecting your energy doesn't mean avoiding all challenges or isolating yourself from the world. In fact, some of the things that require the most energy can also bring the greatest rewards. The difference is intentionality. You choose where your energy goes, rather than letting it leak out without thought. You might pour yourself into building a project that excites you, even if it's exhausting, because you know it matters. You might invest deeply in a friend who is going through a hard time because you know that relationship is worth the effort. That is very different from spending hours trying to convince someone who refuses to see your worth, or overcommitting to obligations that drain your spirit without adding meaning to your life. Your mornings, your mindset, and your environment are all part of this equation. The way you start your day sets the tone for where your energy will go. Filling your mornings with noise rushing and stress is like leaving the front door wide open and wondering why you feel empty halfway through the day. Create space for quiet, for thought, for the things that center you before you give your energy away to the world. And remember, protecting your energy is not selfish. It's necessary. When your energy is intact, you show up better for the people and causes that truly matter to you. You think more clearly. You feel more present. You respond instead of reacting. You make decisions from a place of strength rather than exhaustion. The greatest leaders, the most impactful creators, and the happiest individuals share this in common. They know their energy is the fuel for everything they do. They do not waste it. They do not hand it out carelessly. They direct it with purpose because they understand that when your energy is protected, your life has room to grow in the direction you choose. Rule Fate 2. Never stop learning. Smart women are curious women. They don't think they know it all. And that's what makes them powerful. The most dangerous sentence you can ever believe is, I already know. There is a quiet power in the people who treat life as a classroom. They are the ones who approach every experience, every challenge, every conversation with the belief that there is something to be learned. They do not see learning as something that ends with a diploma or a certificate. For them, it is a way of living, a way of staying alive in the true sense. The world changes faster than we often realize. New technologies emerge. Industries transform. Cultures shift. Ideas evolve. If you are not learning, you are not just standing still. You are falling behind. But beyond staying relevant, there is something deeply human about the pursuit of knowledge. It keeps us curious. It keeps us humble. It reminds us that we are never finished becoming who we are meant to be. When you commit to never stop learning, you open yourself up to perspectives you may have never considered. You begin to see the world through different lenses. A conversation with someone from a different background can become a window into a whole new way of thinking. A book, a documentary, or a podcast can shift your understanding of a topic you thought you already knew. Even mistakes and failures become valuable teachers if you are willing to listen to what they have to say. It is easy to fall into the trap of believing that experience alone is enough. Yes, experience teaches, but it can also become a cage if you stop seeking new input. Experience without learning can turn into habit, and habit without reflection can turn into stagnation. The moment you decide you have learned enough is the moment you begin to limit your own potential. Some of the most inspiring people you will ever meet are those who remain students long after they have become experts. They may have decades of experience in their field, yet they still ask questions, still seek feedback, still explore new ideas. Their confidence comes not from having all the answers, but from knowing how to keep finding them. Lifelong learning is not always about formal education. It can be as simple as paying closer attention to the world around you. It might mean asking your colleagues how they approach a problem instead of assuming your way is the best. It might mean traveling to new places and immersing yourself in cultures you do not fully understand. It might mean learning a skill that has nothing to do with your career simply because it excites you. There is also a personal reward in learning that goes beyond achievement. It keeps your mind sharp, your spirit engaged, and your perspective wide. People who keep learning tend to carry a sense of wonder with them. They are not easily bored because they are always uncovering something new. They find meaning in the details others overlook. They adapt more easily when life changes because they are used to embracing the unknown. Even in the most difficult seasons, learning has a way of giving us hope. When you are learning, you are moving forward, even if only by inches. You are building a bridge between where you are and where you want to be. You are giving yourself tools you may not need today, but will rely on tomorrow. The truth is, there is no final destination when it comes to growth. You are not supposed to arrive at a point where you know everything. The point is to remain open, curious, and willing to evolve. When you make learning a lifelong habit, you give yourself the ability to adapt to change, to create new possibilities, and to continue becoming the best version of yourself. Not just for today, but for every stage of your life. Rule 3: choose courage over comfort. There will always be a safer option. There will always be a way to stay small, stay quiet, and avoid risk. But smart women know that nothing extraordinary happens inside the comfort zone. There will always be an easier path, the one that asks less of you, demands less risk, and keeps you surrounded by the familiar. It is tempting because it feels safe. Comfort has a way of convincing us that it is enough, that avoiding fear is the same as living well. But deep down, you know that the moments that shaped you, most were never the ones where you played it safe. They were the moments you stepped forward despite the uncertainty. Choosing courage over comfort is not about reckless leaps or dramatic gestures. It is about deciding in small and big ways to act in alignment with your values, even when it is hard. It might be speaking up when something is wrong, even if your voice shakes. It might be trying something new, knowing there is a real chance you could fail. It might be saying yes to an opportunity that scares you because you know it will stretch you. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is a sign you are standing at the edge of growth. The body reacts to the unknown with hesitation, but courage is choosing to step forward anyway. Courage understands that the discomfort of growth is temporary, but the regret of staying small lasts far longer. There is a cost to both choices. Comfort costs you opportunities, dreams, and potential you will never see. Courage costs you ease, predictability, and the illusion of control. But only one of those costs leads to a life worth remembering. Think about the times you have felt proud of yourself. Chances are, they were the moments when you had to overcome something, whether it was fear, doubt, or resistance. It could have been leaving a job that was no longer serving you, even though everyone said it was crazy. It could have been starting a conversation that might change a relationship forever. It could have been showing up for a challenge you did not feel ready for, but deciding to try anyway. Courage is not about having no fear. It is about acting while carrying fear with you. People often imagine that confident individuals feel no doubt, but the truth is they have simply learned to make decisions without letting that doubt dictate their actions. They trust that they will find their footing along the way. This choice matters because comfort zones are not fixed. They shrink or expand based on the decisions you make. Every time you choose courage, your capacity for more grows. Every time you choose comfort, the walls around you close in just a little tighter. Courage also inspires others in ways you may never see. When you take a bold step, you give silent permission to those watching to consider doing the same. Your willingness to be vulnerable creates a ripple effect. You may never know whose life you've impacted simply by refusing to play small. Of course, courage is rarely convenient. It rarely shows up at a time when you feel completely ready. In fact, waiting to feel ready is one of the fastest ways to get stuck in comfort. You will never have all the answers, and that is exactly why courage is necessary. The unknown will always be a part of any worthwhile pursuit. Choosing courage over comfort is not a single decision you make once. It is a practice. It is something you recommit to every time you feel fear creeping in. And over time, something changes. The fear is still there, but your relationship with it is different. You start to see it as a guide, pointing you toward the places where the most growth is possible. When you look back on your life, the things you will treasure most will not be the moments you felt comfortable. They will be the moments you were scared, uncertain, and vulnerable, but you moved forward anyway. That is where transformation happens. That is where life expands. Rule 4: build relationships, not just networks. Smart women don't just collect business cards. They build trust. They know the difference between knowing someone's name and knowing their story. In a world that often measures value by the size of your contact list, it is easy to forget that relationships are not the same as connections. You can know hundreds of names and still feel alone. You can collect business cards, follow people online, and attend countless networking events without ever building something real. The difference lies in intention. Networking is about exchange. Relationships are about trust. Building relationships means seeing people as more than what they can offer you. It is about understanding their story, their values, their struggles, and their dreams. It requires presence. Being willing to listen without thinking about what you will say next, being curious without an agenda, and caring without expecting something in return. There is a reason people will go the extra mile for someone they have a relationship with, but will hesitate for someone they only know in passing. Trust is not built in a single conversation. It grows over time through consistency, honesty, and shared experiences. It happens when you show up, when it is inconvenient, when you remember the small details, and when you make people feel seen and valued. Think about the difference between meeting someone at a networking event and meeting a friend for coffee. At the event, the conversation might be about your titles, your projects, and your goals. With the friend, the conversation might be about what has been weighing on your mind, what excites you, and what you are struggling to figure out. The first is transactional, the second is human. And people respond to humanity more than they respond to any pitch or resume. This matters because relationships create opportunities that networking cannot. When someone trusts you, they will recommend you without being asked. They will share information with you before it is public. They will stand by you when things do not go as planned. These are things no amount of casual connections can provide. Relationships also have a way of enriching life beyond professional success. They bring joy, perspective, and resilience. During difficult times, it is not the number of people you know that matters. It is who shows up. And the ones who show up are rarely the ones you met only once and exchanged contact information with. They are the ones you invested in long before you needed them. To build real relationships, you have to give first. Give your time, your attention, your insight, or even just your genuine encouragement. Not because you expect something back, but because you understand the value of being someone others can count on. The irony is that when you stop keeping score, people are far more likely to give back in ways you could never have planned. Relationships require patience. You cannot rush trust. You cannot shortcut connection. It is built in the small moments. Checking in without a reason, remembering milestones, sharing in someone's victories, and offering comfort in their losses. Over time, these small moments create a foundation strong enough to weather any storm. It is also worth remembering that quality matters far more than quantity. Having a handful of relationships built on mutual respect and trust is infinitely more powerful than having hundreds of shallow contacts. In the long run, it is the depth of your relationships, not the breadth of your network, that will sustain you. When you focus on relationships over networks, you shift from thinking about what you can get to thinking about what you can give. And that shift changes everything. People can sense when they are valued for who they are instead of for what they can do for you. That is what makes them willing to open doors for you, to stand beside you, and to stay connected long after circumstances change. Life and work are both richer when you choose to build relationships, not just networks. The return is not just measured in opportunities. It is measured in trust, loyalty, and the kind of connections that make life meaningful. Rule Faint 5, define success for yourself. The world will try to tell you what success looks like. A certain income, a certain body type, a certain relationship status. Smart women don't buy into that script. They write their own. One of the most powerful things you can do for yourself is decide what success actually means to you. The world will try to hand you its definition from the moment you are old enough to understand the concept. It will tell you that success is a certain salary, a certain title, a certain number of followers, or a certain kind of lifestyle. It will convince you that if you just reach those markers, you will feel fulfilled. But here is the truth. Chasing someone else's version of success often leaves you feeling empty, even if you achieve it. Defining success for yourself begins with asking deeper questions. What matters most to you? What kind of life do you want to wake up to every day? What do you want to contribute? Who do you want to become in the process? When you answer those questions honestly, you might find that your definition looks very different from the one society promotes. For some, success might mean building a thriving business or reaching the top of their industry. For others, it might mean having the flexibility to spend more time with family traveling the world, or dedicating their life to a cause they believe in. Neither is better than the other. It is only about whether it aligns with what you truly value. The challenge is that defining success for yourself often requires ignoring outside pressure. Friends, family, and peers may not understand your choices. They may measure your progress by their standards, not yours. If your version of success does not match theirs, they might see it as less ambitious or even as failure. But living your life for someone else's approval will always keep you from fully living your own. Defining success also means giving yourself permission to change your mind. What you wanted at 20 may not be what you want at 40. Life experiences, challenges, and growth can shift your perspective. There is no shame in realizing that the goals you once had no longer fit the person you are becoming. Success is not a fixed point. It is something you can evolve as you do. When you take ownership of your definition, something shifts. You stop comparing yourself to others as much, because you realize you are not even running the same race. You become more intentional with your time, because you know exactly what you are working toward. You make decisions with clarity, because you are guided by your own compass, not someone else's map. This is not to say the path will always be easy. Defining success for yourself often means making trade-offs. It might mean turning down a promotion because it would take you away from the things that matter most. It might mean choosing a less conventional path that others do not understand. It might mean facing uncertainty because your dream does not fit into a safe, predictable box. But the reward is worth it. When you reach milestones that match your personal definition, the satisfaction runs deeper. You are not just achieving for the sake of achieving. You are creating a life that feels meaningful to you. You are shaping your days with purpose instead of chasing a moving target set by others. In the end, success is not a single moment or a single accomplishment. It is the ongoing alignment between your values, your goals, and the way you live each day. It is looking at your life and knowing that it reflects who you are and what you stand for. And when you define that for yourself, you give yourself the freedom to live on your own terms, without apology, without comparison, and without regret. Smart women aren't perfect. They're not fearless. They're not unshakable. But they follow these rules with intention. They protect their energy, they keep learning, they choose courage, they value relationships, and they define success on their own terms. The world doesn't just need more successful women. It needs more women who know why they do what they do, and who have the strength to live it every single day.